The adoption center smelled faintly of antiseptic and recycled air. Rows of clear, reinforced enclosures lined both sides of the corridor, each housing beings from across the galaxy. Some looked reptilian, others avian, a few nearly human save for subtle differences in skin or eyes. Each enclosure had a small display panel showing age, species, and compatibility scores. Most visitors walked quickly, eyes darting only toward species that matched their own. Humans went for dogs or cats on Earth, but here, among the stars, aliens sought companions of their own kind. In one enclosure near the end of the hall sat a small figure, curled in the corner. She wasn't human, not entirely. Her skin shimmered faintly like pearl under the lights, her ears long and swept back like fins, and her eyes were wide and violet. She looked young, though in truth her kind aged differently. The panel read, Name Lyra, Species, Ketheri, and 22 standard years. History, returned 7 times. Compatibility score, low. Beneath that a note, requires patience, struggles with trust, sensitive. Every time someone paused to look, Lyra lifted her head hopefully, then watched their face sour as they read the record. Returned too many times. It was like a curse written across her existence. She had been taken in before, more than once. Families, officers, even researchers. Each time she had tried to fit, to be what they wanted. But she was always too quiet, or too emotional, or simply too alien. Inevitably, she would be brought back. Each return hollowed her further. On this particular day, she didn't expect anything different. Until she noticed a human. He walks slower than the others. Taller than most Ketheri, dark-haired. His expression thoughtful rather than judgmental. He stopped in front of her enclosure. His eyes didn't skip the warning note. He read it twice. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. Middle. The human's name was Daniel Mercer, a technician who had spent the last decade maintaining colony infrastructure on fringe worlds. He was known for fixing broken machines, coaxing life out of systems that others considered lost causes. 7 times, huh? He murmured, crouching to meet Lyra's gaze. That's a tough record. Lyra flinched, expecting mockery, but his tone was gentle. He leaned closer to the barrier. But machines don't quit after the first failure. You don't throw them out, you figure out what they need. I think people are the same. Her throat tightened. No one had ever spoken of her like that. The adoption official cleared her throat behind him. Sir, I must warn you, this one is difficult. She struggles with. Daniel raised a hand. I'll take her. The official blinked. Without a trial. Yes, permanently. The paperwork was signed. The barrier opened. For the first time in years, Lyra stepped into a space without walls between her and freedom. Her legs trembled, and she braced for the usual disappointment, the recoil when her new owner realized she wasn't perfect. But Daniel only offered his hand. Come on, partner. Let's go home. Home turned out to be a small freighter docked at the colony's port. Functional, slightly dented, but warm with the hum of a well-kept engine. Daniel led her through the narrow corridors, explaining each section as though she were a fellow crewmate rather than baggage. This here's the mess hall. Food printer's a bit picky, but I'll program it for your species once I get the data. Cabin down the hall's yours. Decorate however you like. He stared. No one had ever given her a space that was truly hers. The first nights were difficult. Lyra startled at noises, curled up at shadows, waited for the moment he'd snap and declare her too much. But Daniel never raised his voice. When she flinched, he slowed his movements. When she struggled to eat, He experimented with recipes until she smiled faintly at a bowl of broth that reminded her of home. One evening she asked softly, "Why didn't you return me?" He looked up from fixing a control panel. "Because you're not broken." The words hit her harder than any rejection ever had. Weeks passed. Slowly, Lyra began to trust. She learned how to assist with minor ship maintenance. Her nimble fingers suited for delicate wiring. Daniel praised her patience, her steady hands. She found herself laughing at his dry humor, something she hadn't thought possible. But shadows of doubt lingered. What if he grew tired of her like all the rest? What if she made a mistake too great to forgive? That fear came to a head during a supply run on a neutral station. A group of traders noticed her. Ketheri were rare here, and their gazes sharpened with interest. One sneered, "Hey, isn't that the reject? Heard she's been tossed around half the quadrant." Lyra froze, shame burning through her. Daniel stepped in front of her before she could retreat. "Careful," he said evenly. "You're talking about my crewmate." The trader scoffed. She's defective human. You'll be back at the adoption center soon enough." Daniel's eyes hardened. He reached out, took Lyra's trembling hand in his and squeezed. "Not a chance. She's with me. Forever." The word forever echoed in her chest. That night, alone in her cabin, she wept. Not from sorrow, but from a fragile, overwhelming hope. Ending. Months turned into a year. Lyra flourished aboard the freighter. She designed small improvements to the ship's life support system, planted a miniature hydroponic garden, and even learned how to pilot under Daniel's patient guidance. She no longer thought of herself as returned. She thought of herself as home. One evening, as they drifted between colonies under a sky of scattered stars, she approached Daniel in the cockpit. Her voice was steady, though her heart raced. "Do you really mean it?" she asked. "That I'll always have a place here?" He turned from the controls, meeting her gaze. "Lyra, listen to me. Families, crews, homes, they're not about perfection. They're about choosing each other every day." "Chose you. I'll keep choosing you." Her eyes shimmered with tears. She leaned forward, resting her forehead against his shoulder. For the first time in her life, she felt the word forever, not as a fragile hope, but as a truth. And though the galaxy outside was vast and often cruel, Lyra knew she would never again be just another name on a rejection list. She was Lyra of the freighter Solace, partner to a human who refused to give up on her. At long last, she had found where she belonged, her forever home.